1080i is an abbreviation referring to a combination of frame resolution and scan type. In the domains of high-definition television and high-definition video, the number 1080 refers to the number of lines on the screen. The I is an abbreviation for interlaced. This indicates that only the odd lines, then the even lines of each frame are drawn alternately, so that only half the number of actual image frames are used to produce a video. The term assumes a widescreen aspect ratio of 16:9, a spatial resolution of 1920 pixels times 1080 lines. A 1920 pixels times 1080 lines screen has a total of 2.1 megapixels and a temporal resolution of 50 or 60 interlaced fields per second. This format is used in the SMPTE 292M standard. The choice of 1080 lines originates with Charles Poynton, who in the early 1990s pushed for square pixels to be used in HD video formats. A related display resolution is 1080p, which also has 1080 lines of resolution. The P refers to progressive scan, which indicates that the lines of resolution for each frame are drawn in on the screen sequence. Broadcast standard. Within the designation 1080i, the I stands for interlaced scan. A frame of 1080i video consists of two sequential fields of 1920 horizontal and 540 vertical pixels. The first field consists of all odd-numbered TV lines and the second all even-numbered lines. Consequently, the horizontal lines of pixels in each field are captured and displayed with a one-line vertical gap between them, so the lines of the next field can be interlaced between them, resulting in 1080 total lines. 1080i differs from 1080p, where the P stands for progressive scan, where all lines in a frame are captured at the same time. In native or pure 1080i, the two fields of a frame correspond to different instants, so motion portrayal is good. This is true for interlaced video in general and can be easily observed in still images taken of fast motion scenes. However, when 1080p material is captured at 25 or 30 frames per second, it is converted to 1080i at 50 or 60 fields per second, respectively, for processing or broadcasting. In this situation, both fields in a frame do correspond to the same instant. The field-to-instant relation is somewhat more complex for the case of 1080p at 24 frames per second converted to 1080i at 60 fields per second. The field rate of 1080i is typically 60 Hz for countries that use a used system M as analog television system with 60 fields sec, or 50 Hz for regions that use a used 625 lines television system with 50 fields sec. Both field rates can be carried by major digital television broadcast formats such as ATSC, DVB, and ISDBTE International. The frame rate can be implied by the context, while the field rate is generally specified after the letter I, such as 1080i 60. In this case 1080i 60 refers to 60 fields per second. The European Broadcasting Union prefers to use the resolution and frame rate separated by a slash, as in 1080i 30 and 1080i 25. Likewise for 80i 30 and 576i 25. Resolutions of 1080i 60 or 1080i 50 often refers to 1080i 30 or 1080i 25 in EBU notation. 1080i is directly compatible with some Court HD TVs on which it can be displayed natively in interlaced form, but for display on progressive scan, e. e.g., most new LCD and plasma TVs, it must be de-interlaced. Depending on the television's video processing capabilities, the resulting video quality may vary, but may not necessarily suffer. For example, film material at 25 fps may be de-interlaced from 1080i50 to restore a full 1080p resolution at the original frame rate without any loss. Preferably video material with 50 or 60 motion phases per second is to be converted to 50p or 60p before display. Worldwide, most HD channels on satellite and cable broadcast in 1080i. In the United States, 1080i is the preferred format for most broadcasters, with Discovery Communications, Viacom, Time Warner, Comcast-owned networks broadcasting in the format, along with most smaller broadcasters. Only 21st Century Fox-owned television networks and Disney-owned television networks, along with MLB Network and a few other cable networks, use 720p as the preferred format for the networks. A Plus E networks channels converted from 720p to 1080i sometime in 2013 due to acquired networks already transmitting in the 1080i format. Many ABC affiliates owned by Hearst Television and former Bello Corporation stations owned by TEGNA, along with some individual affiliates of those three networks, air the signals in 1080i and upscale network programming for master control and transmission purposes. As most syndicated programming and advertising is produced and distributed in 1080i, removing a downscaling step to 720p. This also allows local newscasts on these ABC affiliates to be produced in the higher resolution to match the picture quality of the 1080i competitors. Some cameras and broadcast systems that use 1080 vertical lines per frame do not actually use the full 1920 pixels of a nominal 1080i picture for image capture and encoding. Common subsampling ratios include 3/4 and 1/2. Where used, the lower horizontal resolution is scaled to capture and/or display a full-sized picture. Using half horizontal resolution and only one field of each frame results in the format known as QHD, which has frame resolution 960 by 540 and 30 or 25 frames per second. Due to the chosen 16 by 16 pixel size for a compressed video packet known as a macro block is used in ITU H261 to H264 video standards. A 1080 line video must be encoded as 1088 lines and cropped to 1080 by the decompressor. The 720 line video format divides perfectly by 16 and therefore does not require any lines to be wasted.